Hello, good morning. Today we will discuss the Infant and Toddlers program. But first, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Edmay Manayan Pinson. I'm 29 years old and I live in Purok Pagtubaan, Barangay Orinao, Kabangkalan City. And my major subject is ESET 2A. Now, first we have discussed about the topic 11. The topic 11 is all about care for infants and toddlers in selected countries of the world. First country is Asia. There are three Asian countries which are Chinese, India, and Japan. And here are the child care practices in these three Asian countries. Asian cultures in general are highly textual which depend less on words than on other kind of contextual messages. The de-emphasizing of the verbal message starts from the beginning in the way babies are treated. Babies are carried around much of the time and get good at sending non-verbally. They may depend much of the time and good is sending message non-verbally. They may depend much on words at an early age. Adults may model or demonstrate particular behavior as a child watches. The non-verbal style of communication teaches them to watch and pick up appropriate behavior from their caregivers. Asian infants and young children are treated quite permissively that they are in almost constant contact with their mothers and babies are particularly never left alone. This article provides basic information to selected Asian countries, China, Japan, and India, to help teachers and educators gain a better understanding of Asian children, particularly from immigrant families, and to identify culturally appropriate educational practices to communicate successfully with them. Family's values. Family values in some Asian countries such as China and Japan, parents take a pride in being dependent to their children and supported by them. Dependence on others is desirable, for it strengthens the relationships among people. For example, a granddaughter will have her grandmother do things for her because it makes the grandmother happy in almost all Asian countries. Children from as young as 2 years old are encouraged to be obedient and to honor the elders. The popular notion of what good child is and was family tied to the notion of being do as you are told. Children are expected to be docile, obedient. Their role is bring honor to their families by exhibiting good behavior, high achievement, and by contributing to the well-being of the family. As one Indian parent noted, we tell them from the start what we are doing for them and what in turn their responsibility is. I don't believe in social security. I consider my child as my social security. Asian children are dependent emotionally and often socially on their parents throughout maintaining this social homogeneity and International Journal of Early Childhood. Cultural consistency is highly valued by the other almost all Asian cultures. We often hear the Japanese saying, the nail that sticks up shall be pounded down, searching the common ground within the social group and seeking consensus are tendencies encouraged particular by Japanese values and norms. Next, we have the religion. The religion. The influence of religion on child-rearing practices has been very strong in most Asian families. The notion of child nature was derived primarily from tradition and religious texts. For instance, the Indian views about child nature have been shaped by the sacred Hindu texts of Ramayana and Mahabharata and laws of Manu. The Hindu view derived from three sources: ideal creature without desire and aversions and thus near to God. According to the Kakar, Indian children dream about a religion through daily practices. Children are not excluded from any religious events. They learn about eating rituals by watching how parents prepare food and how it is served. For many Asians, religion is a part and a parcel of their life and are closely woven into life cycle rituals like rite of passages. Parents, it is important for growing children to be full participants in all aspects for their lives so that they can internalize both the rituals absorbed and quintessence of religious um, piety and spirituality. Next, we have the parenting style. Asian mothers are inclined towards a total indulgence of their infant wishes and demands, whether these are related to feeding, cleaning, sleeping, or being keeping company. These mothers are very caring of her infants, even to the point of indulgence. A male dominated society, not father, is a male dominated society. Moreover, mothers tend to extend this kind of caring well beyond the time when the infant is ready for independent functioning in many areas. Very few would contemplate reprimanding a child in any way, let alone with a physical punishment. A crying infant will be instantly picked up by the mother or another female relative. Crying is not considered to be in indication that child spoiled or self-centered. However, a gentle snacking may be used by some parents to discipline their toddlers. Generally, the tendency of Asian parents to spoil those babies at the expenses of the toddlers, especially when they happen to be boys. Infants are generally overindulged, but young children are reared in authoritarian atmosphere. In most Asian cultures, externalized controls are not expected to lead to inner control. Children are always watched not just by their parents but the whole community. The responsibility for child rearing is shared by the group and everyone becomes a substitute parent when the occasion arises. Shared values and morals make the children know why they need to be good so they are not bringing a shame on their families. Next, we have the father's role. Modern Euro-American practices seems as a matter of mirth and hilarity amongst even the middle-class Asians. Working Asians mothers do not expect to get much help from their husbands. They seem to get help from babysitters or they have to make other ad hoc arrangements with their neighbor. Sometimes a grandmother or close relative might come to live with a family during the first few months after a baby is born. Traditionally, Asian fathers do not play any significant role in the upbringing of their babies until they grow up to the school age. In describing Asian nuclear families, notes that in general the traditional father is the unquestioned authority in the family. The father is considered to be total provider of a family material wealth and in the eyes of community. Furthermore, the success and a failure of individual family members are considered to be his responsibility. The father is the enforcer of a family rules and is viewed by family member as a stern, distant, and less approachable than the mother. But a recent study of upper middle income Asians reports that some fathers are beginning the International Journal of Early Childhood participation. The early infant care practices such as bathing, feeding, and changing diapers, child rearing practices by Chinese parents reveal that today in Chinese families, father and mother share many household chores. Fathers become more involved in a child care, reflecting a weakening of the traditional parent role definition between fathers and mothers. Next, we have food and feeding. In Asian culture, food is a revered and is never considered a plaything, not at the eating table or at activity table. Anyone who has experienced severe food store shortages may be horrified at the thought of playing with food. Mother starts feeding solid food when babies are about 3 months old, and nearly all the babies are on solid food by the age of 6 or 7 months. Some of the are little anxious in what their children to eat all the right time with the right food, rice, porridge, soups, mostly vegetarian, leafy green vegetables, chicken, and fish are blended and fed to the baby. Children are fed until they acquire the ability to handle a spoon their own, but parents often resort to the use both self-feeding and adult feeding. As the child approaches school age feeding by the parent is weaned and it is stopped along altogether when the child enters school. Orderliness and tidiness are highly stressed in the Asian daily life. Valuing neatness may be less of an issue than lack of time when the parents have to rush to feed their babies and clean up after them. They may be find it more expedient to continue to spoon feed until their children can eat neatly and efficiently by themselves, which may be as late as the age of 4. Many Asian parents in India have strong moral and religious reasons to be vegetarian. Others cite health reasons for avoiding meat, and others don't regard meat as important dietary factor. Muslim parents have restrictions about pork and avoid food items that contain lard, such as some type of crackers and ice cream. Breastfeeding may be like with other practices of closeness and intimacy. Asian babies are breastfed on a flexible schedule. A study by Turner, she studied that found that children who have more rigid feeding schedule are less active in their first years. The children fed more flexibly. Asian children are nursed for a relatively long period, are fed more at will, though constantly funded by their mothers, and are still often carried around of the back when mothers go out. Most Asian mothers believe that a child who has been breastfed is healthier. However, due to increasing employment among many Asian mothers, breast bottle feeding is becoming a convenient way of coping with the diverse commitments. Next, we have the toilet training. Many Asians children do not take very long to be toilet trained. Toilet trainings starts when children are around 6 months, and by around 1.5 years, most children are dry. Mothers are more conscious of the responsibilities to toilet train their infants. When the baby wants to urinate, his whole body participates in a preliminary process. The mother's holding the baby in her arms learns to be sensitive to the minute details of the process and to hold her baby away from herself at exactly the critical moment. The process begins by placing the baby on the toilet when the mother becomes sensitive to his or her schedule after selected feedings. She recognizes how the baby typically signals elimination through facial expressions, behaviors, or noises. Study by Kelly and Chen, they study found that there was relationship between the slow physical or motor development and rigid toilet training. Children who was relatively slow in a motor development were weaned earlier, toilet trained earlier, handled more punitively, and were more restricted in a play space and experimentation. Next, we have a sleeping arrangement. It is well established custom in many Asian cultures that the young infants, in some cases even toddlers, sleep with their mothers or mother substitute. Indeed, very few mothers would contemplate putting newborn baby in a separate cot in her room, alone in a different room. As I presented earlier, babies are indulged to the point of being spoiled. If the baby cries in the middle of the night, the whole family wake up to comfort and support the young mother. In a modern middle class families, the newborn baby is either in the couple's bedroom or in their bed. This is primarily to make sure that the baby is safe and is well protected from mosquitoes and other hazards at night. This custom may explain the lower rate of cot death among Asian babies. Furky and Perry and Beavers and Hyder found evidence which supports the contention. 94% of the Asian babies slept in their parents' room. Nearly all mothers had their babies either in their bedroom or in the same bed. Some slept with their mothers initially for 4 to 5 months. The parents and children feel that they are secure and have close touch and comfortable. So, there is some evidence from Asian countries which suggests relationship between co-sleeping as one and had dependence and communal effect on the other. The prominence of co-sleeping was that human contact during sleeping helps infants regulate their body temperature and maintain homeostasis. This communal ethic could promote psychiatric well-being by ensuring degree of mother-infant attachment. Japanese culture puts a high value in relating to others, believe that the end to attend to an infant's need for dependency is by allowing a child to sleep with mother and thereby creating a secure base from which later independences. Autonomy and exploration can grow. The word individual is downplayed in some cultures, and the word private is a particularly non-existent. Many Asians mother breastfeed. This is also one of the reasons why they sleep in the same room. So it is easy for mother to breast 52 Shama MD units feed the baby at night. Additionally, sleeping in the same room or sleeping together in the same bed is a more convenient and efficient for breastfeeding. In many Asian countries, fresh milk or baby formula are scarce and expensive. Lastly, children are less likely to need traditional objects as biological substitute for human contact when parents co-sleep and frequent daytime contacts. So next we have countries in Australia. When healthy babies are born, some of their internal systems, such as the ability to suck, swallow, breathe, are developed and functional. To support the best possible physical development, all infants require responsive care from loving adults, appropriately stimulating environment. Infant and toddler physical development can occur quickly, so it is essential to understand the various stages of physical development. From birth, infants want to explore the world, while each child has their own schedule for development and mastering new skills. Infants and often eager early on to move their mouths, eyes, and bodies toward people and objects that comfort or interest them. They continue to practice skills that lead closer to desired objects. Ongoing observation and frequent conservation with their families can help you learn what infants and toddlers are able to do, what they are learning to do, and what areas they could use your support. So in Australia, there are guidelines on how they caring their children. So the guidelines for all Australian for the children. First, we have the being active. All babies and young children benefit from a mix of physical activity. In activity sleep in each 24-hour period. Physical activity for young children mainly happens through unstructured active play. At the age young, children love moving and exploring their world. The more activities they are, the better as it helps. So, for example, achieve and maintain the healthy weight, build and strong bones and muscles, improve balance movement and coordination skills, promote mental, emotional, and social well-being, promote better learning and thinking, and the last is reduce injuries. It is important that parents and care, support, and encourage children to be active to help them healthier, happier, smarter, and stronger. As a young children grow and develop, they should work towards spending more time in active play. Second is spending less time sitting, and the next is getting enough sleep each day. For infants, birth to 12 months. Even before they are mobile, babies should be physically active several times a day in a various ways. That this can be through, first we have supervised in interactive floor-based play, the more the better. At least 30 minutes of tummy time over the course of the day while awake, including moving their arms and legs. And next we have reaching and grasping for objects. Once they are mobile, it can be through first is scrolling. You can create easy obstacle courses for them to navigate, pulling up to the standing position and moving while holding onto things, and walking in some cases. For toddlers, age 1 to 2 years old, toddlers have to run around, and that's great. The more active play toddlers take part in, the better. Toddlers should be at least 3 hours of various physical activities each day, including energetic play. This could be through like running play tips and games, races at the park, twirling and jumping, dancing and skipping. For preschoolers, 3 to 5 years, the more active play preschoolers take part in, the better. They should be active for at least 3 hours each day. They should include 1 hour energetic play like running, kicking, throwing, and jumping, dancing, and skipping. This should take place through the day, not all at once. Physical activity for preschoolers should be fun, encourage exploration and discovery. Limiting time sitting or restraint. To help the children grow healthy and develop good habits for life, limit the time they spend sitting or lying down, except when they sleeping. Avoid sedentary, screen-based activities. Spend quiet time with them reading, storytelling, or doing puzzling or doing other activities to support their development. Sedentary screen time during early childhood can have a long-term impact on a child's development. We recommend no screen time for children under 2 years and no more than 1 hour per day for those aged 2 to 5 years. Spending long periods sedentary and using screens unsupervised can lead children to develop language skills later, have shorter attention spans, be less ready for school, and find it harder to learn to read and make poorer decisions. For infants, for babies, we recommend not restraining them for more than 1 hour at a time, not allowing any screen time. Choosing educational activities while inactive, like reading, telling stories, singing, painting, or doing crafts. For preschoolers, um, they recommend not restraining them for more than 1 hour at a time, such as stroller, car seat, or a high chair. limiting the time they spend sitting or lying down, not allowing any more than 1 hour of a sedentary screen time per day, less is better, and choosing educational activities while inactive like reading, telling stories, singing, doing a puzzle, using building blocks, painting, or doing craft. Next is ensuring good sleep. Sleep is essential for a healthy child. A well-rested child, an active child, and an active child as well-rested child. Start developing good bedtime and sleeping habits early for your child. This includes first, having a calming bedtime routine, setting consistent sleep and wake up times, avoiding screen time before sleep, keeping screens out of the bedroom. For infants, birth to 12 months, babies needs good quality sleep every day, including of 14 to 17 hours until 3 months, 12 to 16 hours from 4 to 11 months. For toddlers 1 to 2 years, toddlers needs to 11 to 14 hours of a good quality sleep every day, including naps, but consistent sleep and wake up times. Next, we have country of Europe. So, most parents in Europe combine a variety of methods to reconcile their working lives with child care duties, and their arrangements are related to their preference, the age of the children, and the labor market opportunities to which they have access. These arrangements formal childcare settings such as nurseries, preschoolers, or registered childminders, informal arrangement where care is most often provided by grandparents or unregistered nannies, and parental have arrangements. Paternity and maternity leave provides opportunities for parents to provide their own childcare through length of leave, compensation, and the share of leave between parents varies considerably between EU member states. At the same time, women are much more likely to reduce their working hours in order to care for their children and assume childcare responsibilities than men. This is the main cause of a low labor market inactivity and a low female employment rates in Europe. High participation rates in a formal childcare set and are however not a pre prerequisite for levels of a female market participation by its sense. Also questionable whether informal childcare is enough to support women's full-time labor market participation. For infants, the infancy, the period of life from birth to age 1, is associated with a unique set of public policy issues related to babies. Health, development, and welfare runs research on infant spans and a wide range of topics for the brief but important period of life, including infant mortality, low birth weight, neonatal care, immunization, breastfeeding, feeding practices, and cognitive development. Neonatal care means it's providing appropriate health care to newborn infants is associated with positive and physical development outcomes, often with lasting effects into childhood and adulthood. Um, Brown's research that related to the neonatal care includes studies on a premature births and low birth weight babies, infant mortality care and nutrition, and vulnerable populations. So in toddlers, childhood is generally defined as the period of life between birth and adulthood. But children can also be characterized by their stage of development, including prenatal, infant, toddler, school age, prepubescent, and teen or adolescents. RAND research on a children covers the prenatal period to age 18 and spans multiple research areas including health, education, criminal justice, and safety. Next countries is North America. In North America, the infant toddler care, infant especially need a loving connection to another primary caregiver when they are away from their parents. The infant-parent bond is a unique and not diminished by the bonds of a child forms with other caregivers. The time infants spend away from their parents serves them best when a knowledgeable caregiver is responsive to their many nuances of communication and can interact with them with a genuine warmth and enthusiasm. Continuity of caregiver provides the best foundation of children's healthy emotional and intellectual development. Infant care has an emphasis on promoting healthy sensory integration, thus encouraging natural developmental phases. Based on the research of Hungarian physician Amy Pickler, the movement of infants and toddlers needs to be unrestricted as possible to encourage rolling over the sitting up, crawling, and pulling up through their own capacity. Infants are placed in the walkers, bouncer, and mechanical devices. Frequently placed on a natural fiber blankets or rugs in a protected space with a few simple toys to allow freedom of exploration. When they begin rolling and crawling, they are allowed to explore the larger environment. The youngest infants are also carefully wrapped, sleeping to provide a healthy sense of security and warmth. And cups are provided to protect their sensitive needs and ears, heads and ears. Nursing mothers are encouraged to come anytime they wish to nurse and are to leave express milk with the child's caregiver. Bottle-fed babies are held while feeding. So next we have the rocking and cuddling. Will be encouraged to develop a healthy sense of touch and movement and to promote security and comfort. They may be sung while going to sleep depending upon the nature of the infant. Some may be rocket to sleep, rock sleep, while others may fall asleep in the crib or pram. In toddlers, toddlers are given ample opportunity for explorative movement and developing their sense of balance. The environment provides a variety of the gradations and safe climbing opportunities. Diaper changing will be considered a special time for connecting with a caregiver and include a special name song created for each day or a simple nursery rhyme and a gentle message. The interaction with the caregiver, the baby will be encouraged to be active in doing herself or himself. For example, by learning to lift its own bottom of diapering or pulling its own socks when capable. Toilet training is a pace according to the individual child, but generally begins around 2 years old. Parents and caregivers work out a compatible routine. Music and basic finger and foot games are daily experience. Clear and articulate speech is expected of the caregivers who are also encouraged to speak frequently to the infants throughout the day. This is a time the child's life when develop of speech capacities in the fair front. Outdoor. It is a daily experience except in the most inclement weather. Protected and area is provided to crawlers and infants. Infants who fall asleep outside can remain outside, snugly wrapped and covered in bagging. Until time to go in, fresh air provides a deep, more restored sleep. Next we have in South America. Child health has been placed at the forefront of international international initiatives for development. The adoption of the Millennium Development Goals has propelled worldwide actions to improve maternal and child health. In the course of the year 2000, the Latin America or the LA countries made marked progress in implementing effective newborn and infant life-saving interventions. Under 5 mortality in LA fell by the third between 1990 and 2015, with a sharp decline in diarrhea diseases and respiratory infections. Due to the successful immunization programs in the region, some vaccine preventable diseases have been eliminated. Many of the LA countries have reached nearly universal coverage of childbirths attended by the skilled personnel and 80% coverage for antenatal care. In 2015, 18 countries in the region reported that elimination of mother-to-child transmission for both HIV and the syphilis. Although the advances in the public agenda aimed to promoting child health and development in Latin America countries are undeniable, unresolved issues remain, while many stillbirth and neonatal deaths could be averted by improving access to antenatal, intrapartum, and postnatal interventions. Latin America has the highest cesarean rate in all the regions the world, with an excessive number of such operations with the medical indications. The stimulation lack excess of cesarean deliveries in LA countries reflects a model of care that excludes a considerable portion of the population and reveals the persistent gaps and inequalities in region. One of the main challenges to be faced is the lack of sustainable financing mechanism to provide integrated and high quality health care to all children. Equally, education opportunities and social service to support disadvantaged families when planning interventions equally or equity shall be restored as the guiding principle of action to ensure inclusion and social justice. Children represent the future of society in Latin America and elsewhere. For this reason, a social commitment to provide universal child health is the genesis of sustainable development and must be absolute priority. Child health in Latin America. International development initiatives such as Millennium Development Goals and the Sustainable Development Goals have propelled worldwide action to improve maternal and child health, as well as to monitor their impact regional and national levels. The Latin America region made substantial progress in reducing the child mortality since in 1990s, with a sharp decrease in number of the under 5 deaths because of the social health care investments in a majority of the LA countries. The number of children affected by undernutrition, diarrhea diseases, and pneumonia has significantly decreased. Early childhood intervention are among the most relevant strategies to reduce health inequalities because efforts during these initial years are more likely to break the cycle of poverty. For properly investing in Latin American children, it is essential to understand the diversity of contexts in which childhood development take place. Efforts and resources should focus on improving survival and on promoting early child development, taking into account different experiences of social, ethnic, religious, and cultural processes within countries. And that's all. Thank you.